Well, yesterday I did not tell you this girl's name. Has anyone discovered it? If you've read ahead, you'll find her name was Matilda Loisel. Loisel. So, Matilda, you saw that she was sad, even that she didn't have a beautiful tablecloth to change every day, her vessels were not good, and she was dreaming of all wonderful meals and beautiful dishes. So on page 34 of your text, you'll find in the first paragraph, she had neither frocks nor jewels, nothing. And she loved only those things. She felt that she was made for them. She had such a desire to please, to be sought after, to be clever and courted. Now all unfamiliar, impossible desires. She didn't have lovely clothes and jewels. Now, if you want to go for a party, you want to go visiting outside. Now, of course, our standard of dress has become quite casual. So you can wear jeans and a t-shirt of any kind and, just be mod. But there was a time when, you only wore acceptable, fashionable clothes or you couldn't be seen anywhere. And she didn't have those clothes. She had never had them. We heard that she was born into a poor family. But she longed for them. She longed for people to admire her, to, run after her, pursue her, make her compliments, and she imagined clever replies. And this was all something so far from her real life. But she was living in a world of fantasy and imagination. She had a rich friend, a schoolmate at the convent, whom she did not like to visit. She suffered so much when she returned. And I read the next line before I explain this. And she wept for whole days from chagrin, from regret, from despair and disappointment. She would be so unhappy. The writer, creating a picture that you won't forget. Now, as I said, this lesson has got so many messages for us. Sometimes it happens that we may have a friend who's rich, who likes us because we are simple, we are honest, we are sincere. But when we go there, we think of a sofa and we think, look at the curtains and we look at the lovely snacks that they are serving and wonder, when will I have this? I have nothing. But that is such a foolish thought. God loves each of us and He is making us progress along different paths. So why we don't have what we don't have is in God's hands. And if we trust Him, we will get everything. But we must be happy with what we have. Then we will get more. But if we are murmuring and grumbling and complaining, then we might manipulate and do something dishonest and get money and rich things. But we won't be really happy. So we mustn't envy anyone's wealth. It's difficult maybe to do, but it's always good to try. Thank God for what they have. And if I need it and I love it, God will definitely give all these wonderful things to me in His own due time. So she would weep and wail. Imagine she'd never had it. That is what is so unreasonable about her sorrow. If you've never had something and you're crying for it, very sad. One evening, her husband returned elated. Elated is very happy, full of joy because of some good news, bearing in his hand a large envelope. Now we also, what do we find in large envelopes? Invitation cards. Here, he said, here is something for you. She quickly tore open the wrapper and drew out a printed card on which were inscribed. Now scribe is right, so they were written these words. The Minister of Public Instruction and Madame George Ramponneau asked the honour of Monsieur and Madame Loisel's company Monday evening, January 18th at the Minister's residence. Now this is a formal letter of invitation. I would like you to come is a personal letter and you are invited to this party is a formal invitation. So this is a formal invitation from the Minister of Education. Oh my! Instead of being delighted, as her husband had hoped, she threw the letter invitation spitefully upon the table, murmuring, What do you suppose I want with that? Now here she's crying and dreaming and moaning of being in good company. And when the letter comes, which she must have taken a lot of trouble to get, she's very angry. She says, what will I do with this such a grand invitation? But my dearie, I thought it would make you happy. The man is a good man. You never go out, and this is an occasion, and a fine one. I had a great deal of trouble to get it. Everybody wishes one, and it is very select. Select is your, very exclusive. Not many are given to employees. You will see the whole official world there. She looked at him with an irritated eye and declared impatiently, what do you suppose I have to wear to such a thing as that? Now, fortunately, in Kanpur, we even have lehengas on hire. And so, if we don't have a grand lehenga or a grand dress, maybe we can hire one. But 100 years ago, this wasn't the fashion. And so, she couldn't have gone and hired a dress. She needed to have a dress tailored. And on that grand occasion where people will be wearing gowns, sewn with lace and jewels and sequins and something beautiful and shiny and pearls. This poor girl who was a clerk's wife and a clerk's daughter could not have such a grand dress. He had not thought of that. He stammered, why, the dress you wear when we go to the theatre, it seems very pretty to me. So, because he was a poor man and he only met people like himself and he didn't have any false ideas about grandeur and greatness, he said, your dress that you wear to the watch a play with me is good enough. He was silent, stupefied is shocked, in dismay at the sight of his wife weeping. 2 large tears fell slowly from the corners of her eyes towards the corners of her mouth. He stammered, what is the matter? What is the matter? He was a good, kind man. He had worked, done a lot of maybe talking kindly and nicely and, requesting a lot of people for a card. He thought he'll give a chance to his wife to go out like she dreams of. And here she's crying. So he was really shocked and stunned. By a violent effort, she had controlled her vexation. Now, there was no point in getting angry with her husband. He had brought a card for her. So she tried not to be angry with him and responded in a calm voice, wiping her moist cheeks. Cheeks were wet with tears. Nothing. I only have no dress and consequently I cannot go out to this affair. Give your card to some colleague whose wife is better fitted out than I. So she says, no point. I don't have a dress. And she didn't say we can't afford one because there wasn't any much money around. So she says you give it to some friend of yours, some colleague. Now, the colleague is a word that we use for a co-worker. If you are in the same class, you are a classmate. You can be a peer, the same age group. But you cannot be a colleague because you are not working together. You are studying together. So just give it to some colleague who's got a smarter dressed wife. He was grieved, was sad. What answer? Let us see, Matilda. How much would a suitable costume cost? Something. Now you have the C-A-O-S-T, which is absolutely a spelling mistake. So please cut the A. Something that would serve for other occasions. Something very simple. Now obviously they are going to the minister's party every month or every year. So they don't need a very grand party, a grand dress, So if we live in a small house and we go everywhere by rickshaw or tempo, then we can't have a lehenga that is trailing in the ground 7 feet behind us because it will get very dirty in our gully, in our lane. We have to be careful. We have to be realistic. We can have a lehenga that touches our heels, but not that, drags on the ground because only it can be dragged on carpets. Otherwise, if you wear it anywhere else, it will get very dirty. So he says, can you get a dress that we can wear somewhere else also? She reflected for some seconds, making estimates and thinking of a sum that she could ask for without bringing an immediate refusal and a frightened exclamation from the economical clerk. Now he had little money, he earned a small salary. So obviously when he gave her money for the house, for housekeeping, for buying vegetables or whatever, dhyan rakhna, take care, don't spend too much, we shouldn't borrow, we shouldn't overspend. So she was thinking quickly, how much money will it cost? It's strange. Even if we can't afford to buy a dress, we definitely look at the prices, 10,000, 9,000, 3,000, 5,000. So we get an idea, even if we're not buying, that if we would like an expensive dress, it is so costly. So she also is thinking, what number should I give that my husband won't get frightened, he won't say no. Finally, she said in a hesitating voice, I cannot tell exactly, but it seems to me that 400 francs ought to cover it. A large sum of money, 400 francs. Now, from this word francs, which country do you guess this currency is found in? France. So the French, money is called francs. The Indian money is rupees, the US money is dollars, and there are dollars in many countries, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, there's a yen in Japan. He turned a little pale, for he had saved just this sum to buy a gun that he might be able to join some hunting parties the next summer on the plains of Nanterre with some friends who went to shoot larks. Now, very sad, larks are small pretty birds up there on Sundays. Nevertheless, he answered, I will give you, very well, I will give you 400 francs, but try to have a pretty dress. Now, he had saved just that much money to buy a gun, to go hunting with his friends. And that would be a male outing, a chance to enjoy himself away from the troubles of his poor home and his dull job. But because he loved his wife, he was a good and kind man, he immediately said, okay, I have this money, I'll give it to you, but buy a pretty dress. The day of the ball approached, came near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, disturbed, anxious, and nevertheless her dress was nearly ready. Her husband said to her one evening, what is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2 or 3 days. Now he was very observant. He noticed that his wife was not looking happy. He's given all that money, his precious money, for her to buy a dress, and here she's still looking sad. And she responded, I am vexed not to have a jewel, not one stone, nothing to adorn myself with. I shall have such a poverty-stricken look. I would prefer not to go to this party. Now again she is remembering jewels. Now imagine going for a wedding and having nothing on, not even a pearl necklace. Now fortunately in 2020 all kinds of artificial jewelry has become very popular. So 1 or 2 strings of pearls, you can still look good. You can have some pearl earrings, big jhumkas, you can buy something artificial and you look beautiful. But again 100 years ago, artificial jewelry did not exist. There was only real jewelry. And so she's saying, I don't have any jewels, and without jewels I look so poor. I would prefer not to go to this party. He replied, you can wear some natural flowers. At this season they look very chic. Chic is fashionable. For 10 francs you can have 2 or 3 magnificent roses. So again he is being economical and realistic and simple. Okay, I can't compete with minister's wife. Why don't you just wear some flowers, either in your hair or behind your ear or somewhere, and look pretty? She was not convinced. No, she replied. There's nothing more humiliating than to have a shabby air in the midst of rich women. Now, as a teacher, I have often been invited by my students to very grand weddings. Fortunately, I remember that I am a teacher. A teacher earlier never got a very big salary, and then I've always loved books more than jewels. So I've never ever bought too many. And fortunately, I've never felt less than anyone. They have beauty and they have wealth, and I have brains. I've come first in the university for so many exams. So that sense of self-worth helps me to survive the fact that I don't wear jewels worth lakhs. And I'm happy. Of course, low self-esteem. That is, when you think I'm nothing, then you want to be looking great. If you think I'm smart, I'm capable, I'm confident, everything that I have is God's gift to me, and if God didn't give me a 10 lakh har, it's okay. So if you have confidence, you won't feel small in front of anyone. But this girl, as we've seen, didn't have any self-respect for herself, no self-worth. She always was hankering after others, and so naturally she had that very common response that in front of rich ladies, if I'm wearing flowers and they're wearing jewels, I will look very shabby, I'll look very poor, and I don't want that. That's very humiliating and very shameful. Then her husband cried out, "How stupid we are! Go and find your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you her jewels. You are well enough acquainted with her to do this." So the husband didn't have any more money to spend. He didn't want to give her any more money or borrow any money. So he said, just go to your friend. You have that rich friend. You know her. You often visit her. Go and ask her for some jewels. She uttered a cry of joy. "It is true, it is," she said. "I had not thought of that." The next day, she took herself to her friend's house and related her story of distress. Sorrow that I have a lovely dress, but I don't have jewels. Madame Forestier went to her closet with glass doors. Closet is a cupboard. And took out a large jewel case, brought it, opened it and said, "Choose, my dear." She first saw some bracelets, then a collar of pearls, then a Venetian cross of gold and jewels, and of admirable workmanship. She tried the jewels before the glass, hesitated, but could neither decide to take them nor leave them. Then she asked, "Have you nothing more?" "Why, yes, look for yourself. I do not know what will please you." A good friend, she'd opened a jewel box with so many jewels, and this girl just had that sense that they're not looking so good. Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb necklace of diamonds, and her heart beat fast with an immoderate desire. I cannot afford a string of pearls. I cannot afford a silver chain. And can I borrow a diamond necklace? Is it wise? It is absolutely foolish. I can't afford to pay for it. We must never borrow things beyond our budget and our capacity to repay. And this girl, she knew that. But yet, she was overwhelmed, overcome with that longing for something that was beyond her limits. Her hands trembled as she took them up. She placed them about her throat, against her dress, and remained in ecstasy. You see all the lovely diamond ads, and the jewelers won't like it if I tell you, but sometimes half of them are not as real as they should be. And since we don't have any idea about diamonds, we have to pay what they ask. And if you try to sell diamonds, you'll be shocked at the very low prices you'll get for them. So it's a big, sham. It's not, one diamond ring or one diamond earring, okay. But necklace, unless you're very rich, there's no point in buying it. You don't know what you're getting. Well, then asked in a hesitating voice, full of anxiety, "Can you lend me this? Only this?" She fell upon the neck of her friend. "Why, yes, certainly." The friend was really good. She says, "Take it." Now, we will see later in the story that the friend was so generous and gave her that diamond necklace. And if she had any idea, she would have asked how much it cost, so that she would know that whether she was taking a real diamond necklace or not. She fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her with passion, and then went away with her treasure. Now I'll end the story over here. It has been an adventure. We saw Matilda getting a card for an invitation for a very special party at a minister's home. First we saw her getting angry. She didn't want to go. And when her husband was sad and asked her why, she said, "I have no clothes." Then he was willing to offer her something. He says, "Okay, how much will a dress cost?" and she gave that sum of 400 francs. And though that was all the money he had saved to buy a gun, he still gave it to her. Then when the dress was ready, she remembered she had no jewels. Again she was sad. This time again her husband found a solution. He said, why don't you go to your friend Madame Forestier and ask for jewels? When she went there, her friend was very generous. She opened all her jewel boxes and she says, I don't like some of this. She says, okay, to go to the cupboard and see. And she found a diamond necklace. And her friend gladly and generously gave her that diamond necklace to take. And so now when she goes to the ball, we'll meet her on Monday.